Title 49 CFR Chapter 2, November 11th, 2015 edition, Part 260. Title 49 CFR, governing loans, loan guarantees under the Railroad and Rehabilitation Improvement Financing Program, Subpart A, Overview, 261, Program Authority, 263, Definitions, 265, for eligibility purposes, 267, Property, Priority Consideration, 269, Loan Terms, 26011, Investigation Charge, 26013, Credit Reform, 261.5, Credit Risk Program, Subpart B, FRA Policies, Procedures, Evaluating Application for Financial Assistance, 261.7, Credit Risk Premium Analysis, 260.19, and Pre-Application Meeting, 2, Subpart C, Application for Financing Assistance, 260.21, Eligibility, 260.23, Form and Content Application for the generally, 260.25, Additional Information Applications not having credit rating, 260.27, Additional Information Loan Guarantee, 260.29, Third Party Consultants, 260.31, Execution Filing Applications, 260.33, Information Requests, 260.35, Environmental Assessment. Subpart D, Standard Maintenance of the facility involved with the project, 260.37, Applicability, 260.39, Maintenance Standards, 260.41, Inspection Reporting, 260.43, Impact on the laws, on the other laws. Subpart E, Procedures followed in the event of default, 260.45, Events of default, Guaranteed Loans, 260.47, Event of default with direct loans, 260.49, Avoiding defaults. Subpart F, Loan and Guarantees and Lenders, 260.51, Conditions Guaranteed, 260.53, Lenders Functional Responsibilities, 260.55, Lenders Loaning Services. Authority, Title 45 U.S. Standard Code 821, 822, 823, Untitled 49 CFR 1.49, Sources 65, Federal Register 41841, July 6, 2000, unless otherwise noted. Subpart A, Overview. Alright, 261, Program Authority, Section 502 with the Railroad Revitalization Regulatory Reform Act of 1976, amended with the Title 485 U.S. Standard Code 821 and 10 sequence, otherwise authorized for the Secretary of Transportation to provide direct loans and loan guarantee for the state and local governments, government-sponsored authority, and corporations, railroads, and joint ventures that include at least one railroad. The Secretary of Authority has the delegated administrator of the Federal Railroad Administration Agency, Department of Transportation, 260.30, definitions. As used in this Part Act means the Railroad Revitalization Regulatory Reform Act of 1976, amended with the Title 45 U.S. Standard Code 821 and 10 sequence. Administrator means the Federal Railroad Administrator of his or her representative. C, applicant means the state or local government-sponsored authority for the corporation, railroad, group of two or more entities, at least one of which for the railroad participating joint venture will submit the application for the administrator for the direct loan for the guarantee for the existing obligation under which the obliger or from the commitment of the guarantees or new obligation. D, the borrower means the applicant that has been approved for and has received financial assistance under this part. E, credit risk premium means the portion of the total of the subsidized cost of the government of the direct loan guarantee that is not covered with the federal appropriations, but which must be paid by applicant that is not federal infrastructure partner before the direct loan can be disbursed or loan guarantee can be used. Direct loan means the disbursement fund of the government of the non-federal borrower under the contract that requires the payment of such funds. The FR means Federal Railroad Administration. H means financial assistance meet with a direct loan and guarantee with a new loan issued with under this part. H to the holder means with the current owner with the obligation entity with renewed with the owner and with collecting the obligation with guaranteed under the provision. J including the means included but not limited to. Infrastructure partner means any of the non-federal source for the credit risk of the premium was made must be paid within the administrator in lieu of in combination with the appropriation connection with the financial assistance for the provided under this part. And one L, the intermodule means with the relating with the connection between rail service and other modes of transportation, including all parts of the facilities as which the connection is made. M, lender means for the non-federal entity making a loan to the applicant for which the loan guarantee under this part is sought. And loan guarantee means for the guarantee issuances, insurances, other place with respect to the payment of all the other part of the principal interest of any of the debt obligation non-federal borrower to the non-federal lender, but does not include the insurance for the deposit share of the other withdrawable accounts and financial interest institutions. Obligation means the bond and no conditional sales agreement, the equipment and trust certificate, security agreement, and other obligations. Obliger means the debtor under an obligation, including with the obliger and any successful assigner of the such obliger. Alright, Q, the project mean for the purpose of financial assistance requested the railroad means of the rail carrier, subpart of the Part A of the Title, subpart 4 of the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code. Alright, E, that subsided cost of the direct loans means the net present value at the time of which the direct loan is disbursed for following estimated cash flows. Loan disbursement, repayment of the principal, 3 placement payments for the interest, other payments for the to the government over the life of the loan after adjustment. For estimated defaults, prepayment for the fees and penalty for the other recoveries, including the effects of the change of the loan for the term resulting from the exercise of the borrower option included with the loan of the contract. Subsidized cost of the loan guarantee means for the present value at the time of the guarantee loan is disbursement following estimated cash flows. One payment by the government to the covered of defaults, delinquencies, interest, subsidies, and other payments, and the payments for the government, including origination and other fees for the penalties and recoveries. 265 eligible purposes, financial assistance under the part available solely acquire, improve, the rehabilitate, intermount of the rail freight passenger equipment over the facilities, including the track, component track of the bridges, yards, and buildings and shops. Refinance outstanding debt with incurred with the proposed described paragraph A1 of the section 3. Develop and establish new intermodal railroad activities. B. Financial assistance under the part cannot be used to own the railroad operating expenses. 267 priority consideration. When evaluating applications, the administrator will give the priority consideration, but not necessarily if the following order to project that enhances public safety and enhances the environment, promotes economic development, enables the United States company to be more competitive within their international markets, or endorsed with a plan prepared with the Section 135 of the Title 23 with the United States Code of the State of the and by state or states in which they are located to preserve the enhancement rail for the internal model service of small communities in rural areas. 269 loan terms, the maximum repayment period of the direct loans, guaranteed loans under this part of 25 years from the date of the execution. The interest rate direct loans will be equal to the rate of the Treasury securities. Similar terms in general, the financial assistance provided will be required to be repaid prior to the end of the useful life of the project is used fund. 260 level investigation charge. An application with the financial assistance under the part was required to pay an investigation charge up to 1/2 of the 1% of the principal amount of the direct loan portion of the loan to be guaranteed. When an investigation charge is assessed, 1/2 of the investigation charge shall be paid with the applicant until the time of the formal application is submitted with the FRA. Within 60 days after the date of the filing application, the application shall be paid with the administrator with the balance for the investigation charge. 260.13 Credit Reform. The Federal Credit Reform Act of 1990 on the Title 2 U.S. Standard Code 661 requires the federal agencies to get aside with the subsidized cost for the new credit assistance provided in the form of the direct loan to the loan guaranteed. Subsidized cost will estimate the long-term cost for the government loan and loan guarantee with the subsidized costs associated with each of the direct loan and loan guarantees, which administrator must be set aside, may be funded with the federal operation with the direct payment with the credit risk and the premium of the application non-federal infrastructure partner on the behalf of the applicant, any of the combination thereof. 260.15 Credit risk premium. Where available, the federal operations are inadequate to cover the subsidized cost of the non-federal infrastructure, the partner may pay the administrator of the credit risk premium adequate to cover the portion of the subsidized cost of the account covered by the federal operations. Where there is no federal operation, the credit risk premium must cover the entire subsidized cost of the amount of the credit risk premium required for each for the direct loan for the loan guarantee, if any of shall be estimated by the administrator of the credit risk premium shall be determined based on the credit risk and the anticipated recovery of the event and the default, including the recovery of the collateral. Credit risk premium must be paid before the disbursement of the direct guaranteed loan with the borrower draws down the direct guarantee with the loan within several increments. For the borrower may pay with a portion of the total credit risk for each of the incremental equal with the portion for the incremental total amount of the direct guaranteed loan. Each direction loan of the loan guarantee made with the administrator will be included with the cohort and direct loans of the cohort loan guarantees respectively made during the same official year for the long period as may be determined by the administrator. Will all the obligations cohort will be satisfied and liquidated with the amount of the credit risk premiums paid by the applicant and infrastructure partners remaining with the cohort after the deductions made with the mitigated losses from any loan with the loan guarantee and the cohort together with the interest accrued therein will be repaid with the pro rata basis to each of the original payor of the creditor risk payment with any of the obligation which will be fully satisfied with the administrator with the estimated with the default risk of each cost of each of the loan with the accurate with the grade with the credit risk program premiums associated with each for the cohort loans will be fully offset all the loose losses in the cohort with none will remain to be returned with the pays. Alright, subpart B, FRA policies, procedure evaluating application for the financial assistance. 260.17, credit risk premiums analysis. When the federal operations are not available to cover the total subsidized cost, the administrator will determine the credit risk premium necessary for each of the direct loan guarantee, estimating with the credit risk for the potential recovery in the event of the default of each of the project, evaluating of the factors described in paragraph B and C of this section. B, establishing the credit risk, and where the applicant with the receipt of the recent credit rating with one or more of the national recognized the rating agency the rating will be used to estimate with the credit risk. 2, where the applicant has not been received with the credit rating from the credit rating agency, the agency will determine the credit risk based on the evaluation of the following factors. 1, the business risk based on the applicant's A, the industry outlook, B, the market position, C, the management financial policies, D, the capital expenditures, E, the operating efficiencies. 2, financial based on the application based on the project profitability, liquidity, financial strength, size, level of capital expenditures. 3, the project risk may be based on proposed projects. A, potential improving the revenues, profitability, cash flow for the operations. B, reliance for the third party for the process. And C, the potential recovery of the event of the default will be based on the nature of the applicant assets and the liquidation value of the collateral offered, including the terms and conditions in lieu of the lien securing the collateral. 216.19 pre-application meeting. Potential applicants may request a meeting with the FRA associated administrator with the railroad development to discover the nature of the project being considered, but the applicant must be prepared to provide at least the following information: application name, the address of the contact person, name of the proposed infrastructure partner, with if any, with included identification, potential amounts of the funding of each of the amounts for the direct loan, with the loan guarantee, the description of the technical aspect for the project, including with the map, existing railroad lines, with the location of the project indicated, the brief description, estimate of the economic impact, including the future for the demand, service and improvements for the community to achieve the project relation with the priorities listed in statute 267, along with the feasibility market of the other studies that may have been done, the attachment amount of the application, equity description of the collateral offered with the estimated value with inclusion of the basis for the such offered with the security of the loan, if applicable, the name and address for the applicable parent with affiliated with the subsidiary corporations, if in any, with a description of the ownership of the relationship of the level of guarantee, if any, all offered for existing company with the current with the balance of the sheet with income statement and no more than 90 days old, the financial statement of the borrower, any apparent affiliated subsidiary, or at least for most recent years, and the information relevant to the potential environmental impact for the project consistent with the applicable federal law. Alright, subpart C, application financial assistance. 260.21, eligibility. Administrator may make the direct loan with the applicant with a guarantee with the payment of the principal balance and any of the interest obligation for the applicant prior to on or after the day of the execution date of disbursement. Such obligation is perceived with such direct loan of obligation shall be used by the applicant for the eligible purpose listed in statute 265. A1 and 2 and 3. 260.23, form of the contact applicant generally. Each applicant shall include the other indicated with identified for the applicant, paragraph numbers and letters of the corresponding to you for the section following the information, full correct name of the principal business address for the applicant, date of the applicant, incorporation, organization, and not incorporation. The name of the government, state, of the territory under the laws of which it was incorporated with the organized application, the partnership, association, or other form of organization other than the incorporation. Full description of the organization should be furnished. Name, title, address for the person who corresponds regarding the applicant should be addressed with a statement of whether the project involved in another railroad, other participation with a joint execution coordinated otherwise, if so, direct. Description of the relative participation of the applicant, such as the railroad and of participants, including the financial statements of applicable financial arrangements for each of the participant, with the work with the perform with each of the participant, anticipated level of use of the equipment and facility for each of the person, work with the accumulated along the statement of the reasonable officer or official with the other the railroad participant with the information provided with reflects the agreement of these matters. Or E, a detailed description of the amount of time financial assistance being requested for the purpose, for its purpose or purposes, including detailed description of the project for the purpose or purposes of the description of the facility equipment for the physical condition such facilities equipment, including in a direct effect of the proposed project, each part of the subpart in which the project may be reasonably divided into the priority of the schedule of the expenditure for each for the subpart with the proposed date of the commencement completion for that project with the estimating time and the expenditure for the proceeds obligation, a map application for the existing railroad with the location project indicated with the author, if appropriate. Listing of the description collateral with the offered with the administrator with the connection with the financial assistance and the applicant's opinion of the value of the security of the basis for the such opinion in case of the release for the equipment to be rehabilitated or improved with the perceived obligation proposed for the guaranteed applicant with the state in addition for the above with whether the lease provided for the leaser will permit the encumbrance of the leaseholder's subordination leaser's interest of the equipment of the administrator. G. The statement in the summary form of the showing the financial obligations of the claims against the United States or obligation for the which the United States guarantor with if any of the applicant and with any affiliated company corporately entity with the applicant or the applicant's parent of the day of the application included the staff of any of the claims litigation, any of the debit credits existing between the applicant and the United States showing the department with the engine or agency involved with such loans and claims or other debts. To the extent of such information available, the analysis included a statement together with the supporting evidence, including the copies of all the market analysis studies that have been performed and determined the present and future demand with all the rail service facilities financing to justify by present and future probable demand with the rail service facility will be meeting the existing needs for the services or facilities will provide with the ship of the passengers be improved services. To description of the impact of the project going with the project or freight with the passenger train with the freight to be originated with the terminated or carried by the applicant with at least 5 years immediately following the implement completion of the project. 3. Explanation of the manner of the project with which an increase of the economical efficiency, utilization, equipment, of the facility, the description of the cost saving, the other benefits which would occur with the applicant from the project, a statement as to how the project would contribute to the enhanced safe operation of the railroad, considering the such factors as the occupational safety, health of the employees, and the improvement of physical and other conditions that have caused may and cause serious injury or loss of life for the public and significant property damage. J. A statement of the applicant maintenance program of the entire rail with a system plan with the maintenance of the program with the equipment, the facilities, and finance to proceed with the financial assistance. K. Certified statement in form of the contained with the statute 260-31D with the applicant will pay the administrator in accordance with the 260-11 and the investigation charge with the respect of the application formal relevant with the potential environmental impact for the project with the contents for the applicable federal laws and additional information for the applicant deemed to be appropriate for the company with the fully comply with the understanding of the project with the project relation with the priorities listed in the statute 267 impact for the decision for the administrator making with the statute prescribed and findings any other information whether the administrator may deem necessary concern with the application filled on this part. Railroad applicants must also submit the complete copy of the application financing for the project provided the fund private sector, including the terms requested from at least one commercial lender, ends for response for refusing to provide such financing. 260-25. Additional information applicant not having the credit rating. Each applicant submitted with the applicant not having the recent credit rating for more and more nationally recognized for the rating agency shall include in the other indicative they identify the applicant number of the letters corresponding to those used in the section following the information. A narrative statement detailing the management business plan to enhance the application ability to provide the services include the discussion of the following. Applicant current with the perspective of the traffic base included with the commodity with the graphic region with the major with the markets and serve with the major interchange with the points with the market development points. Applicant current is operating with the patterns of the plans, if any, to enhance the ability to serve the current with the prospect of traffic base. A system-wide maintaining the equipment of the right of the way with the current with is improved at this level of the special plan with the revitalization marginal uneconomical services detailed in financial information the financial statement that prepared with the certified public accountant audited if available for 4 calendar years immediately proceeding with the date of the filing application and included a copy of the applicant must recently year ended the general balance sheet with a copy of the applicant must be recent unaudited general balance sheet. 2. The application must be recent annual income standard statement spreadsheet that's showing the unaudited monthly year on the date of the income statement, the date of which the data is of the application is filed. Project financial statement including spreadsheet showing each of the 4 years subsequent to the year of the applicant with the filed or both of the year, both or year before and after given the effect of the receipt of the assistance request for the application forecasted annual income statement, the forecasted year-end balance of the spreadsheet sheets as the accompanied with the statement saying with the fourth the basis of the forecast, the spreadsheet showing the change of the financial position for the year of the application for the file with the, including the period of the end of the day of the application for the beyond based on the actual data with the period of the date application for the end of the year of the based on the estimated forecast data. Capital spending plan for the next 5 years, cash flow projection, contingency plan for the termination of the project before the completion is necessary, narrative description of the application management of the team, and then 2, including real experience of top management plan for the achieving the growth of the long-term capital spending plan, or narrative description of the applicant workforce and the historical rate of the employee turnover. 260.27 additional information loan guarantees. The application for the loan guarantee shall include in order for the indicated identified by the application number of the letters corresponding with those of the using the section of the following information with respect to each existing obligation of finance proposed for the obligation, a certified copy of the proposed executed obligation agreements, a detailed description of the obligation with a description of the series issue with which for the obligation is and will be included, the effective date, anticipated effective date, where the effective guarantor is sought for the outstanding obligation between the finance for the actual effective rate with the interest, where the obligation is new and the terms of proposed obligation include the prospective effective rate interest, and 3 in related date documents where the executed proposed. Alright, 3, for existing obligation, application for the payment of the history of the obligation with the holder, the respect for the existing lender with the holder and prospective lender, a statement of the full, correct name of the principal, business address, the reference to applicable provisions of the law and charter other than governing instruments, and conferring authority to do business as the lender holding and prospective lender. 3. Brief statement of the circumstances, negotiation letter of the agreement of the lender, holder, and prospective lender to make the loan. 4. Brief statement of the nature, extent of the affiliation of business between the lender and holder, the prospective lender and applicant, with the name of the applicant, director, the partners, and principal executive officers. Alright, 5. Full, complete statement of the sums provided with the lender and holder, and to provide with the prospective lender in connection with the proposed obligation, including name and address each of the person to whom the payment has been made and will be made, nature or any of the affiliation, association, prior business, the relationship between any of the person named in the paragraph of the lender and the lender holder and the respective lender, any of the director and partner of the officer's amount of the cash payment, the nature of the value within consideration. 260.29 third-party consultant. The applicant may utilize the independent third-party consultant to provide the financial evaluation of the proof of the project with the applicant and proof of the FRA with the providing such an evaluation would greatly assist the FRA to do evaluation of the applicant would be significantly reduced the time necessary for the FRA to process for the application will encourage the use of the third-party consultant. Alright, 260.31 execution of filing the application. The original application shall be bear the date of the execution signed with an ink bond or by on the behalf of the applicant shall bear the corporate seal, and with the case of the applicant, which for the corporation, the execution shall be in all the partner by the partners unless the satisfactory evidence is furnished by the authority of the partner to bind the partnership, the incorporation, association, or their similar form of organization present with the execution. Executive officers having knowledge of the matter for the therein set forth the person signing the application on the behalf of the applicant shall also sign the certificate in the form as follows. Name of the official certified that he or she with the title of the officer with the official title of the official with the name of the application that he or she is authorized to part with the applicant to sign with the file with the administrator of the application. Exhibits attached thereto that the consent with all the parties consent with required by the law of the binding of the commitment of the applicant in order to make the application has been given that he or she has carefully examined all the statement that contained within such application exhibits attached thereto and made by the part of the relating to the aforesaid with the name of the applicant that he or she is knowledge of the matters of the set forth and herein there all such statements made and matter therein true for the correct with the best of the knowledge, information, belief of the applicant will pay the balance of investigation. Charge in accordance with the 260.11. Signature of the official date of this shall be made an original application following the certificate of the chief of the financial officer, equivalent officer of the applicant. Name of the officer certified that he or she is the title of the officer or the name of the applicant, that he or she is supervision over the book for the account of the other financial records effective of the applicant with the control over the manner of the way so they are kept account of the maintained with the good faith of the accordance for the effect of the accounting practice for the such of the accounts are adequate to assure that the proceeds of the financial being request is being used solely specifically for the purpose authorized that he or she examine the financial statements and a supporting schedule included with the applicant that the best to his or her knowledge and belief that the statement that accurately reflect the accounts and statement about books and account that other than the matters set forth in exemption attached to the such statement, the financial statement and supporting schedule to represent with a true and complete statement of the financial position applicant that there are no undisclosed assessed liabilities, commitment to purchase property as security with other commitments, litigation in courts, contingency, rental agreements, other contingent transaction might materially affect the financial position application. Signature and official. For the applicant may pay the investigation charge in accordance with the statute 26011. The application shall accommodate unpaid with the transmittal letter as follows. The Federal Railroad Administration, Associated Administrator of the Railroad Development, FRA Railroad Administration, Washington, D.C. 20590. Reapplication for the financial assistance under the Railroad Rehabilitation Improvement Financial Program. Dear Sir, Madam, being duly authorized by the jointly several, if more than me, the applicant to convey the under the saying therein set forth, I respectfully submit the application remit the investigation fee with the amount of the equal of the one half of the total investigation for fee by the administrator by filing applicant request for the administrator to investigate that the application may be necessary finding upon the application's eligibility for the direct loan with the loan guarantee may be determined the applicant understanding with neither the acceptance of the filing deposit of the investigation charge nor commencing of the investigation and knowledge of the sufficient application form content of the merit or merit furthermore application understand that the administrator will incur with the numerous expenses for the filling with respect to the investigation application for the appraisal security being offered, the making of the necessary determination finding the promise paid within 60 days reminder of the investigation fee required with the administrative application understand that the administrator will establish the amount of the credit risk premium due to the applicant fitting with the provided within statute 26015. The applicant agrees to pay the credit risk of the premium prior to the disbursement of the direct guarantee loans as appropriate such that the credit risk premium may be refunded as provided in statute 26015 respectively submitted applicant and seal and it's there. Alright, the original application supporting the paper, the two copies therein must be used for the use of the administrator shall be filed with the Associated Administrator of the Railroad Department Development with the Federal Railroad Administration, 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast, mail stop 20, Washington, D.C. 2590. Each copy shall bear the date for the signature with the appear of the original shall complete itself by the signatures that copies may be stamped or typed. Well, it may be stamped or typed. 26033 information requirements. Request if the applicant desires any of the information submitted to the application for the supplement thereto and then release for the administrator upon the request from the member of public, the applicant must so state that set forth any reason that may so information should not be released, including the particulars of any of the competitive harm which would probably result from the release for such information. Administrator will keep such information confidential to the extent permitted by law. 26035 Environmental Assessment. The provision of the financial assistance administrator under the part with the subject of the variety of environmental historical preservation statutes and implementing regulations, including National Environment Policy Act, Section 405 of the Department of Transportation Act, and of the National Historic Preservation Act, the Coastal Zone Management Act, and the Endangered Species Act. Appropriate environmental historic preservation documentation must be completed and approved by the administrator prior to the decision by the administrator of the applicant. Financial assistance request for the FRI procedure for considering environmental impacts or any of the replacement environmental review procedure for the FRA may later issue by the National Environmental Protection Agency regulation for the Council of Environmental Quality will govern the FRA compliance with the applicable environmental historical preservation review requirements. The administrator and the cooperation with the applicant have the responsibility to manage and preparation of the appropriate environmental documentation. The role of the application will determine the administrator with the accordance with the CEQ regulation environmental procedures. Alright, C, depending on the type of the site of potential environmental impact of the project, the application seek for the financial assistance will need to determine whether the project is a category exclude with the detailed environmental review under the FRA with the environmental procedure. If not, the have been prepared environmental assessment leading environmental impact with a statement or finding no significant impact with the discretion administrator of the applicant may be required to prepare and submit environmental assessment proposed to that project with the submitted adequate documentation submitted with the finding of the project in the correct categorical excluded detailed environmental review if the applicant is Public agency that has state-wide jurisdiction or local unit with the government with action for the statewide agency to meet for the requirements of the section of the National Environmental Protection Agency that the applicant may be requested the report in the EIS of the environmental documents under administrative guidance. Alright, B. Applicants who are shown leave with the consolidated associated administrator with the railroad development in the earlier possible stage of the project development in order to ensure that the environmental historical preservation review of the process for the completion within a timely manner. Applicants may not initiate any activity that would adversely impact environmental impact over the limit with achieving responsibility alternative to advance the completion of the environmental review process that does not preclude the development of application for the plan for the design and performance for the other applicant when necessary to support the application of financial assistance. Alright, subpart D, standard of the maintenance and facilities involved with the project. Applicability, the subpart prescribed the standards governing the maintenance of the facility for the being that have been acquired with the rehabilitated, improved with the construction, proceed with the direct loan, with the guaranteed loan issued under this part of the period during each of the portion with any of the portion principal interest for those such obligation remains unpaid. 26039 maintenance standards. When the proceed with the direct loan with the obligation guarantee with the administrator under this part are and where and used to acquire the rehabilitate, improve with the construct track and construct track, road bed or related structures, borrowers shall loan long as any of the portion of the principal's interest without such obligation remains unpaid with the maintained in the facility at least as track class is defined by FRA track safety standards and in part 213 of the chapter specified in the application which is rehabilitated and improved that acquired with the construction of the track and is operated with upon completion of the project. When the proceed with the direct loan with the obligation guaranteed with the administrator owned with this part of the arbiter where if the equipment of the facility of the borrower shall during the period which any of the portion principal the interest such obligation remains unpaid maintain the equipment of the facility with the manner consistent with the sound or engineering of the maintenance practice in a condition that will permit the level of the use exists within upon completion acquisition rehabilitation improvement of the construction of such equipment and facilities. 26041 inspection and reporting. Equipment of the facility subject with the provision subpart may be inspected at such time as the administrator deemed necessary to assure the company compliance with the standards set forth in statute 26039. Each of the borrower shall permit representative of the FRA to enter the property with the inspector the examiner in such facility the responsible times and responsible manner such the representative shall be permitted to use such a test of editing device that the administrator deems necessary to ensure the maintenance of the standards imposed on this part by the being fouled. Each borrower shall submit annually with administrative financial records or other documents detailed maintenance inspection performed by the demonstrate that the borrower has complied with the standards of statute 26039. 26043 impact on other laws. Standards issued under this subpart shall not be construed to relieve the borrower or any other obligation to comply with any other federal, state law, or regulation. Alright, subpart E, procedure to be followed in the event of a default. 26045, in the event of the default with a guarantee, if the borrower is more than 30 days for the past due with the payment or is in violation of any convenient with the covenant or condition of the loan document, such as the violation with the constitute the default but under the provision of the loan document, the lender must notify the administrator in writing must continue to submit the information administrator each of the loans until the such time the loan is no longer the default. The administrator will pay the lender of obligation from the lender's agent with the amount equal to the past due interest of the guaranteed portion of the default loan. The payment will no longer reduce the borrower's obligation of the lender to make all the payments of the principal and interest in accordance with the note with the loan with the current with the lender will repay the agency for the interest payment made by the agency plus accrued interest of the note rate. If the default is concurred with more than 90 days, the administrator pays the lender with the lender's agency of the agent 90% of the unpaid guarantee principal is subsequent to the payment being made with the default is cured or liquidated and no longer appropriate. The lender will repay the funds for the administrator plus the interest note rate. After the default will continue for more than 90 days, the lender shall expeditiously submit for the administrator in writing with the proposed detailed plan to resolve the problem, resolve the default liquidation with the collateral or any other means of the resolution will require liquidation with the collateral. Then lender's plan shall include proof of adequate established lender legible possession of the obligation if it is the agent for the holder with the legible possession of the obligation statement of the current loan balance and accrued with the interest of the date and method of the computing the interest. A fully complete list of all the collateral included the personal corporate guarantees. The recommended liquidation methods making maximum collection possibility with the justification such methods incurred with the recommended action with acquiring the disposal of all the collateral of the collection with any of the guarantees. Necessary step of the preservation of the collateral, the copy of the borrower list Borrower's latest available financial statement. Copy of any guaranteed latest available financial statement limited. An itemized list for the estimated liquidation expense expected to be incurred along with the justification for each of the expenses scheduled for the periodically report of the effort of the progress of the liquidation proposed project of bid amount for the collateral to be sold at an auction breakdown to show the amounts were determined if the voluntary conveniency for the considered the proposed amount to be credited with the guaranteed debt and legal opinion that is appropriate. The lender will obtain the independent appraisal of all collateral secured for the loan will reflect with the fair market value potential liquidation in order to formulate a liquidation plan with the maximized recovering the appraisal shall consider the present hazardous substance, petroleum products, other environmental hazards which may adversely impact the market value of the collateral. 13. Anticipated expenses associated with a liquidation become considered by the cost of liquidation. D. The administrator will inform the lender of the writing whether the administrator concur with the lender's liquidation. Should be the administrator of the lender not agree with the liquidation plan, negotiations will take place for the administrator of the lender to resolve the disagree with the liquidation plans approved. The administrator of the lender will proceed with continuously with the liquidation. The liquidation plan may be modified with the conditions warned. All the modifications must be approved and written with the administrator prior to the implementation. Lenders will account for the funds during the liquidation, will provide with the administrator with reports at least quarterly on the progressing liquidation, including the disposition of the collateral resulting cost for the additional procedures necessary for the successful completion of liquidation. Within 30 days of the filing liquidation, all the collateral and lender will prepare and submit the administrator of the final report in which the lending of the must account with all the funds during the period of liquidation, disposition, collateral, all the costs for the incurred with any of the information necessary for the successful completion of liquidation upon receipt of the final accounting reporting of the loss for the administrator may audit all applicable documentation for the conformance of the final loss. The lender will make its records available to otherwise assist the administrator making the investigation. G. The administrator shall be subrogated to all the rights of the lender, if the agent with the holder, within all the rights of the holder within the respect of the borrower to the extent of the administrator payments to the lender under this section. H. When the administrator finds the final report properly report or specs, all amounts recovered in liquidation shall be paid by the administrator. 2. The remaining obligation of the administrator of the lender under the guarantee, if any of it, will be paid directly to the lender. Administrator of the administrator shall not be required to pay any payment under the paragraphs B, A, and B of the section. Administrator found the expiration of the period described in the subsection of the default has been remedied. The administrator shall have the right to charge the borrower interest, the penalties, administrative costs, including all of the United States legally assessed, responsibly incurred expenses of its counsel and court costs of the connection with the proceeding brought, threatened, and enforced payment, performance upon under applicable loan documents in accordance with the Office of Management Budget Circular A129 or www.whitehousegov.omb, and may be revised from time to time. 260-47 Events of the default of the direct loans. Upon borrower's failure to make the scheduled payment upon the borrower's violation of any of the covenant with the condition of the loan document on which the constitute the default under the provision of the loan document, administrator of the administrator's discretion may exercise any all the remedies available without provision for the loans agreement and other loan documents, including any of the agreement guarantees or inherent law and equity. Terminate further borrowing with the funds taken the possession of assets pledged for the collateral. 4. Liquidate pledged collateral. B. The administrator shall have the right to charge for the borough with interest for the penalties and administrative costs, including in all the United States legally assessed for the responsibly incurred with expense for the counsel, court costs in connection with any of the proceeding brought to the threatened and enforced payment with the performance under the applicable loan documents in accordance with the Office of Management Budget Circular A129 may be revised from time to time. 260-49 Avoiding defaults. Borrowers are encouraged to contact with the administrator prior to the occurrence of any event of the default to explore possible avenues to avoid such an occurrence. Subpart F. Loan guarantee lenders. 260-51 Condition of the guarantee. The percent of the obligation with the applicant see for the guarantee of the permanent negotiated between the lender and the applicant with the subject of the administrator approval. The maximum percent of the total obligation for the administrator will guarantee the 80% of the amount of the guarantee will allow ability depending on the total credit, the quality of the transaction level, the risk believed to be assumed by the administrator. Guarantee under this part of the constitute the obligations to award with the full faith credit of the United States with incontestable except for fraud, misrepresentation of which the lender and the holder have actually knowledge in time and then become the lender of the holder, which the lender and the holder participates in the condones. In addition, with the guarantee will unenforceable and by the lender or the holder too. extent of the loss of the occasion by the violation, usually negligent in the servicing failure to obtain the required security regardless of the time in which the administrator acquired the knowledge thereof, then the loss of the occasion will be unenforceable due to the extent of the loan funds with proposed other than those specifically approved by the FRA guarantee. Or C, the administrator may guarantee the application lender, provided with the lender can establish the satisfaction administrator that his legal authority, sufficient expertise, financial strength to operate with a successful lending program. Loan guarantees will only be approved by the lenders with the adequate experience and expertise to make the secure service and collecting of the loans. Lenders may sell all of the guaranteed portion of the loan secondary market, provided with the loans and not in default, retaining the entire loan. When the guaranteed portion of the loan is sold to the holder shall succeed with the rights of the lender under the loan guarantee to accept, and with the portion purchased, the lender will remain bound to the obligation under the loan guarantee of the provision part of the event of the material found negligence, misrepresentation, lender of the lender's participation with the inner condoning of such parts of the fraud, negligence, misrepresentation, lender will be liable for the payments made by the agency of any of the holder. 260.53 Lenders' functions and responsibility. Lenders have the primary responsibility to successfully deliver the program consistent with the policies and procedures outlined with this part. All lenders obtained with the requesting of the loan guarantee for the administrator are responsible for loan processing. Lenders shall be responsible for all the processes for the loan processing, including processing application for the loan to be guaranteed, developing, maintaining adequate documentation, loan files. 3. Recommending only the proposal for the eligible financial for obtaining the valid evidence for the debt and collateral in accordance with the sound lending practices. 5. Supervising construction where the appropriate. 6. The distribution loan funds. 7. Servicing guaranteed loans in a prudent manner, including liquidation if necessary. 8. Obtaining the administrative approval of the occurrence for the required for the loan guarantee documentation. B. Credit evaluation. Lenders must analyze all credit factors associated with each of the proposed loan and apply it to professional judgment to determine whether the credit factors considered the combination ensure loan repayment. The lender must have the adequate underwriting process to ensure the loans are reviewed other than originating officer. There must be credit documentation procedure. Environmental responsibility has the lender to become familiar with the federal environmental requirements to consider the consultant with the prospect of the borrower with the potential environmental impact with clear respect for the earlier planning of the stage of the development and proposal to maximize the potential adversely impact with environmental. Lenders must be able to alert the administrator to any of the controversial environmental issues related to the proposed project or items that may require extensive environmental review. Lenders must assist the borrowers necessary to comply with the environmental requirements aligned with this part. Additionally, lenders will assist with the collection of additional data when the agency needs such a data, complete with the environmental review of the proposed, assist with the resolution of environmental problems. D. The loan closing. The lender will conduct the arrange for the loan closing fees and the charge. The lender may establish the charge and fee for the loan provided with a similar but normally charged for the other applicants for the same time loan with the ordinary course of the business. 260.55 Lender's loaning service. The lender responsible for the servicing of the entire loan, taking all the servicing action for the prudent. The responsibility includes and not limited to the collection of payment that obtain the compliance with the government and provision of the loan documentation, obtaining and analyzing financial statements of verification for the tax payments, ensuring premiums, maintaining lines, liens, or control. Collateral. Lender must report the outstanding principal of interest balance for each of the guaranteed loans semi-annual. The administrator requires for the lender to periodically meet with the administrator to ascertain how the guaranteed loan is being serviced with the condition of the covenants for the loan documents are being enforced. D. The lender must obtain the forward administrator borrower's annual financial statement within 120 days after the end of the borrower's official year with the due date. Other reports required for the loan document. The lender must analyze the financial statement provided with the agency written summary of the lender's analysis conclusion, including trends, strength, weaknesses, extraordinary transactions, and other indication of financial conditions of the borrower. Neither the lender or the holder shall alert nor approve any amendment of any loan instrument without the prior written approval of the administrator.